Right, you lot, hello and welcome to Hampton Springs, where today I'm going to do a little bit of bomb fishing for you. It's unfortunately just starting to turn. Winter is well and truly on its way, and that means that the fish simply do not want to come as close to us as they did. They want to hang back, and the water's clearing a lot, which is probably why they're doing so, if I'm honest. And because of that, we have to fish in completely different ways. Yeah, gone are the days of being able to feed short, catch a load of fish on maggots close early in the session. Now it's all about almost looking after the fish, keeping them in your peg without spooking them completely out the peg and catching absolutely nothing. So that is what today is going to be about, ledgering. You know what I mean? Single bait to an extent, ledgering to start with, and hopefully catching a few over a little bit of feed later on. So I'm going to get straight into it. No waffling, no messing about, straight into it. And I'd say today's going to be all about bomb and corn. That is the bait I'm focusing on. Yes, there's so many other options. When it comes to single bait, not feeding, you put whatever you want on. Yeah, there's literally no rules, whatever's right. But corn, definitely at this venue I'm at, back in the day, it was an old favourite. And on clear venues as well, where the water's really clear, corn is probably the most visual bait in it. It stands out beautifully on the bottom, and they're happy to pick 1 or 2 grains up without us having to feed loads of bait. That's kingfisher. A kingfisher. Anyway, so as I said, bomb and corn, that is what it's all going to be about today. Really, really simple. I've got 3 tins of RF1 corn. I plan on going through 1 of them, yeah, unless it is a special day. So let's chuck him in, and there is our bait for the session. Doesn't get any simpler and pretty much any cheaper than that. 1 simple tin of corn, nice and easy to be fed, easy to put on the hook, lovely. Fishing wise, that's what I'll go through next, is keeping the kit right. Yeah, I've got 2 rods set up just to save me messing about. I've got 2 10-foot bomb rods, really, really fine light rods. That's what I want. Yeah, with really light lines on them as well. They both got, one's got 6 pound on, one's got 4 pound on. Just allow me to be really delicate and nice. And you can see with my setups, this makes a big difference as well. So if I go through, I'll go through 1 and then I'll just touch the other one. Really, really simple, as I said, 10-foot bomb rod, beautiful for this type of fishing with a really nice light 1-ounce tipping. So I can see everything that's going on. And bomb wise, it does not get any simpler than this. Yeah, I've got one of our finesse bombs on. I am absolutely loving these for me winter fishing. Yeah, we do them from 5 to 15 gram, but really light, really lovely. They just make as little as possible disturbance when they go in. That at shallow venues like this, shallow clear venues in particular, when there's no wind, definitely going down the light as bomb route it's massive. Yeah, it's all about not scaring them fish out my peg, keeping them happy, and the more subtle my bomb is at going in the water, the more it's going to do that. So much so that I don't mind using the really light bombs that potentially they lose the bolt effect potentially that a really heavy bomb would, but I'd want to keep the fish in my peg. That's the number one, is keep the fish in the area. Yes, I might get done once or twice. It's part of the nature. It probably happens a lot more than we actually think about it with these sorts of rigs, but I'd rather keep the fish in my peg than frighten them to death by crashing a big 2-ounce bomb in. Yeah, I don't want to be doing that. So in this case, I've got a nice little 10 grammer. You see, he just fastens on. Nice little quick clip on there that I could actually just set 1 rod up. Yeah, because the other rod is all about just a different type of hook length. So I could really, really easily, if I wanted, just replace that hook length. But for today, he was set in my bag. It's nice and quick. We won't mess about. So for my first rig, really, really simple. I've got quite light line. Yeah, I've got 0.15 main line, really, really nice and light main line because I'm going to be catching a bit of everything. And this one is just to a 16 hook, fairly light, a medium gauge wire. And all that's going to take is a single grain of corn. Nice quick stop. My corn stays on for about 3 days if I want it to. It is just for fishing corn. Yeah, I've got no band on swapped pellets or anything. That is just for corn. And the only difference with my other rig, other than main line, so this one's on 4 pound, that one's on 6 pound. So the 4 pound just means that if there is any wind, it keeps my rig a bit nicer, a bit stiller, less prone to the drag, and it means I can cast that really lightweight a little bit further. This one's got 6 pound, pretty much the same hook length. I've gone for about 12 inches to start. This one's just got a 14 hook and a bit of a longer hair. Yeah, that's for double corn. I'll talk about that later. But really, really simple. There's no reason we couldn't have that on the same rod and just change hook lengths if we wanted. So, as simple as that. I don't think it gets any easier or more simple than straight lead fishing in the winter. I mean, there's no easier setup than that. So we're going to go almost straight into it as well. No messing about. I'm going to start on my light rod, and I want to talk about me thinking behind approaching me peg. So as I say, you need to treat it very similar to dobbing bread. That's your mentality that you need to have employed in your brain when we're fishing straight leads with no bait or no feed or over no feed. So I'm just going to pick one nice bit of grain of corn. I'm fussy with my corn, it's got to be the right size. In through the top, out through the bottom. You can see it's as simple as it gets, in it that. It doesn't get any easier. If I whiz in down there, it's just as easy as it gets, in it. Single grain of corn, but you can imagine how visible that is on the bottom, especially over no bait. And what I want to decide is where I'm going to cast. Yeah, we all get very giddy and we're all, I'm going to say impatient, in that we want to go to the best area of our peg to catch fish as quickly as possible. I'm going to say 9 times out of 10, that is the worst possible thing you can do. Jumping, this time of year, jumping on fish where you think it's going to be the best line in your peg is only ever going to scare them out your peg. Yeah, the first hour of your match I'm going to say almost never the most productive. It's when they're least likely to be feeding, especially the colder it gets throughout the winter. So instead, I want them to gather in my best area. I want to chuck everywhere other than my best area until comes that point where I have to go there, either because I feel there's no fish anywhere else to get a bite from, or just because simply I'm falling behind people and I need to catch up. So what I want to do is chuck around my peg, yeah, but in a very slow, methodical manner. Yeah, there's no point rushing and going to your limits and everything. It's use your peg almost like a grid and work out where you need to be, use different areas, cover everywhere, and try and push even more fish into that best area. So if you lot can see, my best area today is going to be 100% just through the fish I've seen already, just to the left of this island. That is the dead water that no one but me can touch. Yeah, obviously I can go anywhere I want today, there's no one on the lake, but in a match, that'd be the one little untouched area at the back of this island where none of the anglers to my right can get to, and then obviously no one to my left could cast past me. So that little area there is going to be the fish's happy place where they end up towards the end of the session. But I don't want to go there to start with. So even being on my own, I want to herd the fish into that area and actually put a bit of feed there potentially, but not just yet. So to start with, I just want to chuck my bait about. So I'm literally going to have me watch set, and I'm just going to have nice little areas. I'm going to treat it so it's like the boundary of my peg, and I'm just going to go to start with nice and close. So it's going to be like a 20-metre cast to start with. You see that nice and subtle going in. Just give it a tiny little pull. I don't want to pull it too much because there's a lot of leaves on the bottom. So I don't want to move that hook length, but I just want to straighten everything out to give myself the best chance of not getting done, but I think it happens whether we like it or not. So rig set, trap set, all beautiful. And I want that tip as close as I can to the water, just so I can see any movements whatsoever. And what I'm looking for now, bite's brilliant. If I catch one, absolutely phenomenal. I want to know where I've chucked that. I want to keep a check on my clock, see how long it's in for. I'm probably going to have sort of 10-minute cast to start with, just to find some fish. Just get that tip a little bit lower. And obviously I'm looking for any liners, any signs, but I've clocked where I've chucked it. So I know I've chucked it in line with this red tree opposite me, 20 metres. That's where I've gone to start. I'm not faffing about clipping up on all of this, there's no point. Yeah, I'm fishing for carp. If I clip up, they're going to do me anyway. I don't want to do that. So just having a mindful guess. You've not got to be super accurate because there's no bait. So I'm going to start at sort of 20 metres. Then next I'll work my way out to 25 metres on that same line. And I'll keep on doing that. You know, if I get indications at 20 metres, great, I'll catch what I can there. Then I might move slightly to my right at 20 metres. If not, I'll go to 25 metres, catch some there and keep moving to my right. Everything's about pushing the fish into that area. Yeah, yesterday they could easily go that way, but I'm going to do my best in the zone that I've got of chucking the fish tight into that island as much as I can. So I'm going to give this a couple of minutes now, see what happens. We'll have to speed everything up for the film. And what I want to do is just try and search them fish out. So at the minute we're doing this, what? 1st November today, isn't it? It's the 1st of November, so it's only just starting to drop. And I don't feel that the fish are as tightly shoaled as they will be in a month's time. I mean, once the cold weather arrives, they really do. They're in snooker table sized pockets. I mean, they're really, really tightly grouped. So at the minute, liners are less likely to happen because the fish are spread out so much more. But it'll still give me an idea of whether there's any fish this side of my bait sort of thing, this side of where I'm fishing at the minute. And I can work out where to go next. So I'm going to give this a couple of minutes. Nothing's happened yet. Obviously, we'll be sat here watching everyone else, seeing where everyone else is catching, and the impact everyone else has as well during a match is absolutely massive. And if you're sat here just casting, sitting there nice and quietly, not going too far, there'll also be others crashing leads in, fishing bigger leads, going to the extremes of the peg straight away. That all works in your favour in a session. Yeah, it slowly pushes them in. If you can create the quiet area at this time of year, the fish will 100% end up in it. It is naturally what they want to do. They don't want to feed, they're frightened to death of getting caught, they just want to be left alone. And that is what they'll hopefully do, is find that security in that one area of the lake where they're not getting bait on top of their heads, they're not being cast at, and hopefully they'll accumulate for a right good finish later on. So, I'm going to sit here and wait, but what I've got to think of next, I've got to rush everything up. There's no point sitting here for 6 hours filming. When they actually end up in my area, I've got to decide what's best to do. Like whether I need to feed some bait to hold them there better, or whether I just need it to be the straight-ledged single bait in that area. And if I'm completely honest, at this time of year, I'd go with that little bit of bait option. So I'm actually going to have today is a little area to feed, just level with the end of that island, still not to my limit. I want to be able to cast past it in case they don't want to be on my bait. But at the minute, because it's not rock bottom, they still want to feed a little bit at some point later on in the session. I want a little area just off that island where I'm going to feed an odd bit of bait. Yeah, but I've got to keep things very, very accurate and not put too much bait in my peg. So with a big catty, heaviest catty we do to keep it as accurate as possible, because corn is literally the worst bait on the planet for feeding accurately. I want to pick out 3 grains in this case. What I want to do is accurate grains, so they're all the same sort of size. Try not to pick higgledy-piggledy ones, a massive big one and a tiny one, because they're going to be really inaccurate. So there I'm going to pick 3 that are pretty much the same size, and I'm going to feed them just off the corner of that island. So they're in a what? 2 metre square? Not a lot of bait at all, but it just gives me a little area, as you can see, just level with the island, so I can still go past if I need to, that there's a chance of some fish settling on. I'm going to feed that again. So I'd probably feed 1, 2, 3. So just pick them same size grains. It's so, so important to make sure they're the same so they're not skipping all over the place. Same again, whack them out. Lovely. It's not spreading too much. You know, it's spreading more than a pellet ever will, but it's keeping it nice with a big visual bait that the fish don't mind eating. They definitely eat sweet corn far more than they eat pellets when it gets cold. The last thing I want to be doing is reining in 300-400 pellets over there, because they're going to sit on the bottom and I'm not going to catch anything over the top of them. So in this case, see, they were a bit inaccurate, them ones, don't like them, but because I'm only feeding 2 or 3, if it's nasty, I've only got a couple of baits going the wrong way. See, they're nice, I'm liking that now. I've probably got, it seems really, really as nothing, but it's 10 pieces of sweet corn I've got now in my area. It's nothing, but it's enough to not spook them, not upset them, but they can easily sit on that bait when they're ready. And I'm probably going to feed 3 pieces every 10 minutes. So I'm not feeding a lot of bait. Every 10 minutes, just put 3 in, and it'll give me that area that they might be getting picked off, but hopefully they'll accumulate on that one. So this one hasn't gone yet, not a bite. So I'm going to whiz him in, just lift him up and just feel how it was, nice and clean. What was that? That was a fish on the island then. Might catch a chub on the island. You get a few chub here. So he's good to go. Just check everything's nice. See how my hook's a bit snotty, so I don't like that. Where I've been chucking, been a little bit mucky, probably because I moved it when it was on the bottom. So this time I'm going to move it, a little bit of muck, as it sinks, but I'm going to go further. So same line again. I'm looking for any little signs of fish anywhere. There's an odd little fizz over to my left there, but I want to save that just in case. And there's been an odd fizz. There's another fish top in there. An odd fizz a bit further, so I'm going to go another 10 metres this time, and I'm pulling it as it's sinking. Yeah, so that's just hit the bottom, but I've been pulling it all the time because I don't want to pull it once it's hit the bottom, because it's got a bit of nastiness there this time of year, the leaves and all the crap's on the bottom. I don't want to be pulling my hook bait into that. So this is my next cast. What was that? 25 metres. So the next one is going to be 30 metres on the same line. Even if I don't catch one, I'm not bothered, because I think the lead going in, the lead just being there, and even more so the line in the water, that's something I've learnt this year after fishing with some carp lads. The line being in the water is absolutely ridiculous in moving fish, and that they simply want to get away from line. So hopefully the further I go, the more it's going to push them fish, because they keep bumping into my line or seeing my line being present. Just tightening up that, not too tight. I just want a slight bend in my tip, just so I can see any liners if they're happening. Because yes, I want to see a bite, but also I want some indications, so I know that there's fish there. It's giving me a bit of confidence. At the minute, I'm flapping. I've seen nothing. I'm worried. There's not a boatload of carp sat in front of me like we'd hope. So at the minute, I'm a bit worried that there's going to be any fish there. So it's until you get them first few signs, then you've got something to play with. It's just about finding them fish to start with. Tap that around a little bit. And same again, another lot of 3. 1, 2, 3. Lovely. Cheapest day ever, isn't it? And 2 of them are good. 2, 3. Get in there. There's a bit of a spread, and I don't like it, but at least the spread's short. I'll give them it again. So I'm happy. Beautiful, that'll do. So I've probably got a 3.5 metre area there now. Big old spread of bait, but there's nothing. You know what I mean? If I put 3 or 4 grains of corn in a 3 metre area, it's like one there, one there, one there. There's never a volume of bait to upset the fish. Not like you've got tight piles like you would if you cast a method repeatedly or fed a load of pellets really accurately. It's nothing. It's very inconspicuous. Is that the right word? That was a posh word, wasn't it? That was right good for me. Inconspicuous, the area of feed that we're creating. So feed that one more time. I want a bit of bait. I'm just trying to rush it a little bit today. Oh, there's one. So that's the next sign. Fish just topped on the end of the island. That would be possibly the next place I'd be casting. It was moving a bit though, that it wasn't there in an area that was mobile, that fish then, it felt like. The corn's going in nice now. I just fed 2 that time and it was lovely and nice and accurate. And I'll keep an eye on that. There's still half a chance this time of year for an odd sign over me bait. I could get the odd bubble coming up, the odd fish moving around it. And if I see a fish within my bait, just swirling around it, it's a brilliant, brilliant sign that they've not spooked from it. Do I have a little indication then? Maybe. 2 more minutes, I'll cast it again. And then I'll definitely feel I'm starting to push it in then. And then me next, oh, yeah, another little indication. Things happen. That was a bit of a pluck, that. Like it was a little, I'd be much more inclined to believe that was a fish having a peck at me corns, loads and loads of skimmers and all sorts in here. So the way that moved with a little pluck, I'd be imagining that's a little fish having a go rather than a really slow pull of a liner off a carp. So it's not something that's going to keep me in the same spot, that. But it will make it have another 30 seconds on this cast before I chuck it in again. And then we're going to go over the bait in a minute. But what I would do, like I say, at the minute, we're speeding everything up for filming. Oh, look at them. Oh, look at them, JK. Beautiful. My next step would be to move 2 metres to my right, do the same again. Yeah, I'd stay at 25 metres. Now that I'm out there, I've not had a bite. I'll go 25 metres, I'll go to my right. Yeah, if I've not had a bite after that, I'll go back to my left, I'll go 30 metres. And I'd go to the limit of my peg almost before getting near that island. Probably on 2 lines I'd manage to find it here, working my way out before I go with my bait. Yeah, the chances that's going to last, but heck, it depends what you've caught, doesn't it? If you're getting an odd bite off each one, you could end up half the day skipping about over that little area. If nothing's happened whatsoever, I'm going to be wanting to move there within an hour, maybe 2 hours. I'm going to be getting to my good area, as long as people are catching fish. If nothing's getting caught, leave it alone. Yeah, don't go to your good bit if nothing's getting caught on the lake. You're better not catching anything to begin with and not rushing onto that good spot. Because the likelihood, if they're the first fish to get caught on the lake, more than likely they're going to end up in someone else's peg very, very quickly. And we don't want that happening. We want to keep them with us. Greedy, we want them. Which 2 am I feeding? Them 2. So it's nice and accurate now there. Most of them, if I'm feeding 2, a little wind got them a little bit. If I'm feeding 2, they're landing within a metre or so of each other. Apart from them 2, they weren't even close. So the beauty of feeding such minimal bits is I've got that noise. Yeah, even though I'm only feeding 1, 2, maybe 3 at the most at a time, it's tiny bits of bait, but loads of noises, that blop, blop, blop. So if they're happy to come and have a look, then I'm going to draw fish in very, very quickly with that little bit of bait if it's what they're willing to do. So I think I'm going to have one more quick cast, waffle a little bit more, and then we're going to chuck over that bait just to see what's going on. So nothing's happened on this. Lift him up again. So you can feel, when you lift it up, you can feel it's ever so soft what I'm on. Like it almost feels like you've got a bit of muck on the hook, a few leaves, whatever else. Not ideal. Check that bait again. Same again. On my hook, a little bit of mess. So I do need to be ever so careful what I'm casting over here. I don't actually know if I've been fishing yet because of how it is. Just going to fix that corn, make sure it's nice. It's still good for another cast. And this last one, I'm going to go 25 metres again, but a little bit more to my right. I'm going to go to that aerator this time. So again, it'll push them fish. A little bit to the right, the aerator. It'll push them fish even more into the island if it's the splash that's upsetting them or the line going through the water. Just sink that line. So at this time of year, I want to sink my line as quickly as I can. If the water was a bit cleaner, I wouldn't mind leaving it on the top, letting it sort itself out with a bit of tension in my tip. But today, there are 12 billion zillion leaves on the top. And the last thing I want is a big washing line of leaves that are potentially going to stop me from seeing things or even move me lead on the bottom and drag it into the silt. Flapping a little bit. I did think we'd have had an early one now. So what I did do that is worth talking about, and something I very much wouldn't do if I was fishing a match, was this morning I had a couple of clips on my reels. They were clipped up. So I've had a couple of casts to take my clips off because I didn't know where they were. If it was the start of if I was fishing a match, I would 100% not cast the rig into the water. Yeah, it's something that we all like doing, having a little chuck to like claim your space and all of that, with other anglers chucking around you. I think at the start of the session, before the match even starts, having a cast with just a lead or a feed or whatever, another fish on that island, then that's definitely worth a cast. It's probably the worst thing you can do. Yeah, you're letting them fish know that you're there and potentially missing the chance of that first early fish straight away just by crashing a lead in, letting them know what's going on, and before you even know it, they've moved out your peg, before you've even started fishing. Again, I'm getting a little bit leery with that bait. I'm trying to go a little bit too far with it. That one then topped. One's just topped then, but past where I'm feeding. Yeah, definitely not where my bait's going. So that could be a sign that I'm pushing them a little bit away. Look at them two. Bloop, bloop. Beautiful. Oh, that was beautiful, one of them. It like kicked off right at the last minute. Single one. Single piece of cord. Look at that. Beautiful. There we go. That's better. I'm going to give this one more minute, if that. Fish center. They're just, I'm seeing fish all over the place. One's just been in the edge further up the lake then. There's been one on the island. They're not grouped up yet. We're literally a week or so away from them finding the winter homes, but we'll definitely be fishing in this way rather than later. Same again, no indications at no point with me. 1, 2, 3, 4 casts that we've had, one before you lot turned on, I've had a single indication. So I'm definitely happy that either my lead's repelling all the fish or there are no fish clumped up in this area that I'm chucking in. So I think the next step is to move on to my sexy bit where I think I'm going to get a bite. I want to talk about the few little things. Same again, it feels heavy. You want to lift it up. Like this one feels really heavy. I'm going to try and crank it in really slow without happening. And even with such a delicate little bomb on, yeah, and I didn't move that when it went in. Look what this has got on the end of it. Yeah, Lenny the leaf is clinging onto the end of it. No good. And that's off the bottom, that one. That's not from off the surface. It's messed me corn up as well. So just by looking at them signs and me hook bait, I honestly don't know if I've been fishing yet. So I'd be really, really worried about what I'm chucking over. So I want to keep chucking until I find a nice spot that I'm happy fishing over. But instead, I'm going to go with my bait now. Here we go, single piece of corn. Start on the single, because I'm quite happy that there's not a big volume of bait in my peg. Where are we going to go? We're going to go just past where I've been feeding this time. Oh, that's beautiful. That's right on the back edge of my bait. And I'm not going to move it, just from what I'm learning off my first few casts. I'm going to be really careful keeping that in. Yes, my hook length won't be as straight as it possibly could be, but I think it's too risky to move it when it's on the bottom because of how many leaves seem to be on there. What is that on top of the leaf? Is it? No, we missed the leaf. Oh, it's on that one leaf. One of them's got us. I think it's come off it. Right, let's have a look. If this doesn't go, I'm going to be flapping, because I expect something to go on now. So I'm not going to feed once my lead's in. I want to see what's going on first. Yeah, I fed that line 20 times with probably 2 lots, so it's probably 40 pieces of corn spread over that area if nothing's been eaten. So the last thing I want to be doing is another one at the back edge of it. Yeah, that wasn't when I've cast. That's another 5 metres past. That's 2 that have been there now, so that's potentially not a coincidence, that. But it could be good. I think that's the same one going mad. It's a good sign that they've not completely gone. They've gone there and hung back, so they could easily come on the bait then. But as I was saying, I've got potentially 40 pieces of corn in there. So the last thing I want to do is feed over the top of it. Now, once my rig's in, that'll tell me what is going on, whether there's any fish there, whether they've been attracted to me bait, or whether all I'm doing is increasing the volume of corn on the bottom. So your first cast is absolutely massive in understanding what's gone on down there. Because I can chuck it in, see, I'm yet to have a liner, and I know that my line is going through my baited area. So it's the optimum space for me to have liners occur if I'm going to see any, because my line's going right through it. Whereas at the minute, nothing has happened, so there's definitely not a volume of fish sat on top of my bait. If anything, you're expecting now, the way I'm rushing it for the video, I'd never expect them to be any over there just yet. It's going to be later in the session. By leaving it alone, that is when they're going to be on that, and I'm going to catch a few. But still, with all them steps that we've gone through, that's what I need to employ to make sure I make the absolute most of it. So the other options now that we've got, in this situation how it is, I'd go back now very, very quickly after a minute on this to casting about. I'd come off it and leave it. But what I want to talk about instead is the options of how I need to get a bite once I feel that there are a few fish over me bait. So what I do want to do is stack the odds as much as possible in my favour and pick my hook bait out, which, great if there's loads of fish competing for my bait there, I can get away with the same bait among what I'm feeding. However, if they're being a little bit moody, and massively what underwater filming's shown us over the last couple of years is by using standout hook bait, or just making my hook bait subtly different even, it can just make a massive difference in them actually picking that bait out. And that's what I've got my other rod for, and is what I've got some options as well to change my hook bait. So my other rod, as I said, that's my double corn. That's my standout big hook bait. If I feel that the fish are going to be big enough to accept double corn, then that is my next step. I mean, fishing a double among a load of singles, it's the most subtle way of making my hook bait stand out. However, if the fish are too small for a double corn hook bait, then I've got to dick about with my hook baits. I've got the option of changing it, putting a pellet on, putting a bit of meat on, putting whatever on, or also just changing the colour or the flavour of the hook bait that I've got on. That can be another nice subtle way of keeping my hook bait nice and small, but making it stand out a little bit among all the bits that I've fed. So I'm going to actually do that next, just to see if there is an odd fish out there picking bait up and it's just not finding my bait. What I'm going to do is feed, not that much, he's horrible. Just feed another 2 lots of 2. Make sure they land in my peg, beautiful. And I'm going to whiz him in, and I'm going to stay at the back edge of my bait. I'm going to feed 3 lots of 2. I'm happy they're all going in nice. And I'm just going to change my hook bait a little bit. See, same again, look. Feels ever so soft wherever I'm casting. There might even be an option here to swap down a size of lead and go even lighter Let's have a little check of this hook bait when it comes in, reeling in nice and slow. No, he's good, he's nice and clean. So I'm happy with him, but what I am going to do this time is I'm going to take my lid off so I don't get messy. And I'm going to dip him in my fluoro just to change him a bit. Yeah, don't take him long, take him a couple of seconds, just leave him in there, see what's going on. And what it'll do is give me just a slightly different bait among my baits. So if I've got my normal bits of corn there, he's just going to stand out slightly among them. Yeah, not a lot, but it just makes him different. And with that pink colour as well, it is probably the favouriteest colour in the world for fish standing out, for fish picking out rather. Let's keep that like that. It's pretty much right over me bait that, but we're going to give it a go. Sink my lines. I'm being careful now sinking this. I think any pressure whatsoever in sinking that line is potentially burying me. Is that on top of the leaf? Have we missed it? No, we missed it. I think I'm over a leaf. Here's my leaf. Get off that. Yeah, burying it into them leaves that are on the bottom. I've got to be ever so careful. You can imagine where I'm fishing as well, being up against an island. It's potentially an area that leaves are going to settle. If anything, that open water should have been the best place for not getting muck, but there's a lot of trees around here. So yeah, just trying to slightly stand out hook bait now. Say subtle, but it's just that 2% difference to everything else. That might be enough without going vivid and really bright and wild. It might give me a hook bait that's just slightly different and that hopefully they pick out. Still not had any indications over this, which has amazed me. I thought we would have got an odd little pluck over bait, especially how the fish are behaving with them being all over the lake. Oh, if I just whinge one in then? Maybe. We'll have to see. I think the next step, I'm going to give this 1 more minute then, 2 more minutes. And then my next step is to chase him about a bit. I'm going to go past my bait, like where we've been seeing them fish, see if I can find a few that way. And although it's not my favourite thing to do, obviously we're trying to rush everything today, it'd almost be my final step. And by fishing through your bait, like exceptionally through your bait, 5-10 metres past it, but with your line still going through it, it's a lovely way of doing things and waiting for the odd indication to happen that tells you to come back onto your bait. It's almost a little indicator that tells you when the fish are ready to feed without fishing over the top of them. How much impact it has, I don't know. I don't think they like a line being through them, but if it's smaller fish like little F1s and carp, I don't think they're as much bothered by line being present as big carp might be. My corn's going in phenomenally now. All our F1 corn's quite large grains as well, so for doing this, it is absolutely perfect for being able to keep it accurate. If you have the rubbishy 15p sweet corn stuff from the co-op or whatever, it's just soft and nasty and you can't feed it in a catty. I mean, I want them decent fat pieces that let me be accurate with it. So, 20 minutes later, I still haven't had one, but things have just started happening in that I've cast all over my peg, I've not found one, I'm happy that there is nothing in open water, but what I have had is a couple of liners where I've been chucking right past me bait. So I'm hoping there's a few fish starting to settle on me feed. So by plopping it, this is the first cast I've had over me bait. just to see if anything's willing to feed over it. I definitely think something's happening. There's actually a carp swirling in the middle there. Isn't your normal November type thing, but it does make sense of what's going on. They're just all over the place, the fish. But I do think that there's an odd fish over me bait now, definitely. Well, I don't know if I felt something then even. Let's just sink that line, get my rod vest back. I've just been for a week. And now I want to keep a real close eye on top of my bait, just for any signs. Obviously any bites and that are great as well, but I do feel that things are starting to happen now and fish are happy feeding. And what I'm also going to do, what I mentioned before, is I might even put a secondary feed line in. I'm actually going to feed another one in an area that is not going to affect anything. So this is just going to be 5 or 6 grains of corn there. I mean, not in an area that's going to upset anything whatsoever. I mean, very much a gamble sort of thing, but I'm into a bit of that. If I can have 2 areas in my peg that can potentially produce fish because they want a bit of bait, then brilliant. And I know by feeding some at, what am I feeding there, 13, 14 metres, that's not going to upset anything whatsoever because I'm expecting all the fish to be well away from me. That might just be a nice little line for right late on in the match that I can just nick a couple of bonus fish off. But we'll see. So this is in there now. So it's gone nice and flat over there now, and I'm not seeing any obvious indications. There's no bubbles coming up. There's nothing really fizzing. But as I said, I did have them last 2 casts that I've had past me bait. I've had a couple of little plucks just where you can tell there's fish not near my bait. They're definitely this side of it. And I do think they were definitely over me feed, which isn't a bad thing. It means that that feed's slowly getting whittled away. The odd one's getting eaten. There's fish there then, right over me bait. Just to the left, those were fish then in me peg. So I'm really, really happy now that say 40, 50 grains of corn that have been in me peg, hopefully now it's been reduced a bit. Hopefully now it's down to 20 or 30, which again allows me to fish nice little delicate baits. This carp's doing my head in. It's the same one, like mooching about over the top of my line here. But yeah, what was I saying? There's still like 30 odd baits in me peg, and I can still fish the same bait just to begin with. I've not got to fish a standout bait just yet, but there's still time for that. Can I see a little fizz then? Don't know, just it's as if the lake's just changed, and there's always that point when things do just liven up a little bit, and the fish will have that period, normally from like 12 till 2, that they'll have a little bit of a feed, a few fish start moving about, and that's our best chance of getting a bite. So hopefully we're getting very close to that period now. Still no indications over me bait. I really, really did fancy this going straight away then. It just hasn't. Come on, fishies, you've got to read the script. Got to read the script. We've got one in a minute. It's just being patient, and I'm not good at this. When it comes to being patient, I want things to happen. I want to be busy, but all I'm going to do is blow me peg if I start trying to make things happen too quickly. Come on, fishies. I'll keep that other line fed as well. I'm feeling that. Maybe they want to be in open water. Maybe it's a bit shallow on that island and they want to be off it, maybe. There's definitely a chance. Not fish here then. Should have fished a silver today. We had a right nice day fishing for roach. Our matey with the chainsaw's just gone, so that'll make it a bit quieter. And now, yeah, bubble over me bait then. Single bubble over me bait. I'm just going to feed a little bit of bait over the top of it. Just a couple of lots of 2. Just to see if that's having any impact. Plop, plop. Just watch that tip, just as you would if there's a rig in the water on a pole line feeding over the top of it. Just watching for any little indications, could be massive. What there is, I've just seen a little fizz over my short line as well then, just a little single bubble. That could be a sign that maybe they want to be in open water today. Let's keep that going in there as well. I'm going to have a chuck over that next. I'm going to wind this in a minute and have a chuck over that. That's like had 2 or 3 little fizzes over the top then. As if there was a fish in deeper water. It does drop a lot here. This like main bowl in front of me. It's probably about 6 foot. Whereas near the island where I am there, it's about 2.5 foot, 3 foot maybe at the most, depending on how far away I am off it. Maybe that's just a little bit cold, so I've still not had a pluck. Really did think I'd get one there. Right, I'm going to whiz him in. I'm just going to chuck my last little area to try and find one. Is I'm going to chuck over this short line here, because I'm sure I've just saw a little fizz coming up over it. Say that's had barely anything over that. That's had maybe 10 pieces of sweet corn on that line. So if I just plop it over that, just a bit short, so I don't want to be where it's landed. It's a lot deeper there. A little plop on that one. Give it anywhere's worth a little try. As long as I'm not introducing piles of bait all over my peg, then I'm not bothered one bit about literally chucking anywhere to give it half a chance. As soon as I move, there's a big fizz come up over that bait. Felt right. They're coming. Oh. That's a little indication then. I might have had a bite. It's so hard to work out what's going on today. So I really need someone else to be fishing just to see if anything's feeding whatsoever. It could be just because I'm the only one sat on the lake. It can be the worst thing of all at this time of year, and that everything just bails because they don't want to eat, they don't want to be near me. And it might take even longer to come back just because I've not got the impact of other people scaring them off. That's a liner then. 1,000,000% that was a liner then. Maybe that's where they are. Maybe they're just in deeper water, but they need some food. Because the single hook bait out in... Yeah, something happened there then. The single hook bait out in the open didn't yield a bite. Maybe they just don't want to be on the bottom. We'll find out. Let's keep that bait going in on that far one. That is going to happen. It is. Sure it is. Oh, 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 hey! Where'd that come from? Oh, I like that. Is that the one of we finally found some? So I want everything really soft. Like I said, I've only got 0.15 on. So I want really, really soft hook lengths and rods and everything just to make sure we don't lose it. It's took about 4 days to hook it, so it's the last thing we want. Oh, we're better. Ooh, go on. He's an F1 this, or a little tiny carp. He's going behind us. Come back. But that is a lovely example of having to find the flipping things. And I've literally been all over my peg. And weirdly, we find them in probably the closest but deepest area of the peg. That's definitely where they want it to be. Or at the minute, it's where they want to be. And you can do that with no other rig. I mean, with a pole, that takes so much more effort, doesn't it? To have so many more areas covered and fed and whatever else. He's a little carpy. Lovely little carpy. Don't lose him. Please don't lose him. Here we go. Definitely not the largest specimen, but exactly what I'm after with this finesse style bomb fishing. Look, he's right in the good bit as well. We're not losing him. But he is a lovely little one. Let me get him off. He is just what we want as our first fishy. Took a little while, but at least I've not spoilt things. I mean, I gave myself the best possible chance of finding a few, and now hopefully this is the beginning of things slowly starting to happen and we get to put a few fish in the net. So definitely not the most fish-filled video that we've ever done, but this is the sort of thing that we can expect more often than not when we're winter fishing. I'd say it's about stacking the options as much as you can, or stacking the odds in your favour of getting bites. Not going gung-ho, attacking your peg from the off. It is, I'm going to say it's never going to work. It's about being delicate, trying to get the fish to where you want them and catching fish on their terms with minimal bait. That is what winter fishing's about. And with a bomb, it is a lovely, lovely, simple way of doing so. With minimal kit set up, no plumbing up involved. You can literally cast it where you want. But have a think about it. I mean, make things as stealthily, as nice, as finesse as possible, and hopefully you will catch a few more fish. So there is still loads and loads and loads more content coming on the Sonubaits YouTube channel. So if you haven't already, click that subscribe button at the bottom, and it means that you'll be notified with all the wonderful videos that Jake produces with myself and the other consultants for Sonubaits. So hopefully you enjoyed that. Hopefully you catch a few more fish than I have today, and thank you very, very much for watching.